Welcome, Mr. Miller. If you would introduce yourself and tell us why you want to be a judge.
Yes, indeed. My name is Kip Miller. I wanted to be a judge, if you don't mind me sitting.
Please.
Here in Flagler County, I'd like to start out that I've lived here since 2006 in Flagler Beach. I feel a part of the community. Vast amount of my practice, I have on average probably 70 criminal cases at one time, and I suggest that about a third of that is here in Flagler County. Most of my practice is actually in county court. Do a lot of practice in front of Judge Ditzler, who's the county court judge, litigate constantly in front of her, do some felony criminal work as well, a lot of work here in Volusia County, but my entire practice has been centered here in the 7th Judicial Circuit. I started out as a assistant state attorney back in 1993, right out of law school. Spent 7 years at the state attorney's office in Volusia County. Started out in county court, and then I quickly progressed back in 1993. The domestic violence issues became very popular in 1995. I became the lead attorney on the domestic violence unit. We created a specialized unit for domestic violence where we had a particular judge handling nothing but domestic violence cases, and I prosecuted those cases full-time for 2 years. As a result of that, I became a Top Gun trial attorney in county court in domestic violence, and then after which I went into felony court. Back in the 90s, when you were in felony court, you would also have a vast amount of work you would do other than just the regular misdemeanor, the third-degree felonies and the second-degree felonies. I quickly became the lead trial attorney on my docket, which meant that I handled all the serious cases such as career criminals, drug trafficking, sex cases, and even homicide cases other than first-degree murder. So as a result of that experience in felony court, I did numerous trials. I would suggest I have probably about 150 jury trials under my belt. I have probably at least 200 non-jury trials. I've litigated suppression motions constantly throughout my profession. I've done administrative hearings, so I have a great deal of trial experience. But most importantly, I think that my career path led me to private practice in 2000. I left the state attorney's office on good terms. Perhaps one of the best years of my life were practicing for Assistant State Attorney, or State Attorney John Tanner, as well as Steve Alexander. And then in private practice, I worked for a whited law firm. We did nothing, mainly county court work, handled large caseloads, probably on average 400 cases caseload during 10 years of practice with the whited law firm where I was a partner. And then the last 9 years, I've been in private practice with Colliot and Miller, which we do family law and criminal law. But I feel I have a great deal of experience as well as balance both on the state side and in private practice to be a more effective judge. I'd like to also add that my ties to the community, I like working here in Flagler County. I've raised 2 children, both of which are now in college, and I think that being part of this community and having practiced in this area for probably 15 years and probably having the largest caseload in front of Judge Ditzler makes me well versed to the judges here and how things operate in this county.
You answered my follow-up question, which was ties to Flagler County as part of that, so I'll open it up to the commission for questions.
You've appeared in front of a number of judges, as you point out. Is there a judge or judges whose style and approach to courtroom decorum and moving the docket forward that you would follow or emulate?
Well, I look at perspective. Back in the 90s, we oftentimes had judges who would bring us into chambers and we would litigate cases in chambers with the state and the defense or the other side. I realize those days are long gone, but one of the judges that I consider a mentor was S. James Foxman, who the Justice Center is named after in Volusia County. He was our chief judge, and I was his prosecutor for a number of years. And I think those experiences with him led me to believe that professionalism is key to this business, meaning that you want to be somebody that can get along with both sides, but also be able to efficiently run a courtroom. And he did so, and I found him to be a mentor judge. But I practiced literally almost in every judge, in front of every judge in this circuit. And one of the other judges I felt to be a mentor was Sean Breeze. The reason I respected Sean Breeze, we always knew what his ruling would be more times than not because he would always follow the law. And when you have a judge who's consistently following the law, you realize that that's the mentor I want to be if I give him this opportunity, that I'm going to follow the law and apply the law to the circuit case.
Obviously, a lot of more judges are getting challenged nowadays than they used to be. Can you talk to us about electability and what you do to get ready for a race if you are appointed?
I thought about that, and I see now that, unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but it's the reality in our circuit. If you go to other circuits like down in Vieira, you see judges throughout the wall that are one-term judges. South Florida, the same scenario. Here, if you were an incumbent, very rarely would you be challenged. Almost unheard of until recent years. So I think that's somewhat the norm now, that you can expect possibly a challenge. I feel that my ties to Flagler County, since this would be a county race, would be crucial to that. In addition, I feel that I have the ability to communicate with people, to get along with people, to effectively run a campaign if, in fact, I do get opposed in 2 years, depending on when this appointment takes place.
How would you get prepared for the civil side of it? I mean, I know I've worked with you for a long time. You're an excellent trial attorney. I mean, I've done a lot with you, but how would you get geared up for the civil side since you've done mostly criminal and family?
And piggybacking on that, we have heard that, part of the assignment may be covering some circuit matters, including probate. So, a variety of things you may have experience in, and you may have to be learning them, so.
Well, and I will have to learn them. Most of the judges that are on the bench now are contemporaries of me, meaning that I worked with them at one time or another, and I have what I consider strong support from county court judges in Volusia County that I would be able to resource to be able to adjust into the civil arena. I do need to read criminal procedure and learn those things quickly, but I think that based upon my rapport with other judges, that I will quickly be able to learn the areas of the law that I need to learn. I think county court is quite expansive now. I think knowing that they're going to increase the amount of theft statute up to $700, meaning that there'll be more cases in county court. In addition, that they're going to increase the small claims amount from the $5,000 to $8,000, and then also the general jurisdiction from $15,000 to $30,000. All of which makes me realize that there's going to be a lot more happening in county court in the future, and I think that I can quickly acclimate and learn the law, follow the law that I need to do. But I've done general practice in family law. I've done some family law injunction hearings, and I think that's going to assist me in that arena.
I want to be sensitive, especially since you're being filmed, but you went through a health scare a few years ago, and a lot of us were rooting for you. Bounced back and feeling good and ready to do the job physically?
Yes, I do want to share that most people who know me personally, all the judges who knew me back in 2016, I was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. It's called hairy cell leukemia. My doctor has told me that I'm going to live a normal life. It's going to be an acute disease. I'm asymptomatic. I'm somebody that does not have any residual effect, whether it be fatigue or health issues, but obviously something that I'll deal with for the rest of my life. And it took me out for a couple of months having to go through some treatment, and that's been successful. But I've taken that experience, and I'm going to build on that experience and appreciate life more and live it to an extent. And I'm hoping that this opportunity to be judge will be something that I've always desired to do, but the health issue is something I have fortunately under control, and I don't see it to be any obstruction whatsoever.
Thank you for addressing that. Other questions?
Mr. Miller, as you know, in county court, the judge is required to deal with a lot of pro se litigants, probably at least half. Have you thought about how you would transition and deal with litigants who come before you, possibly ignorant of the law, and find that balance, strike that balance of not crossing the line and giving them legal advice, just moving your docket along with pro se litigants? Have you thought about that?
And it's what I always say, county court's like the people's court, so you're going to expect that much more in that arena. I'm obviously going to try to encourage people to seek legal counsel, whether it be through legal services or private counsel, but obviously there's going to be lots of litigants that can't afford counsel. So I will adhere to the law, but do everything to accommodate these people, but also make sure that the law is being followed appropriately. But I would like to be courteous and kind to these individuals and compassionate to them, but in the same token, efficiently move the docket forward in the way it should be in terms of the rules of procedure. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
Any issue though, you know, county court judges have to evict, you know, adorable grandmas and single parents struggling, but who didn't pay the rent and didn't put the rent in the court registry. I mean, any concern about following the law when you're faced with real sympathetic facts or people?
I feel like I deal with sympathy from my clients each and every day, but I also understand that the judge's role in this matter is to apply the law, and if they did not fulfill their obligations, whether it be landlord, tenant, wherever the case may be, I would adhere to the law, but I also, it'd be natural for somebody to be sympathetic, but my job as a judge is to follow the law.
Anything else? Anything you want to leave us with?
Again, I just feel humbled to be in front of this committee. I've been practicing for 26 years. I've never attempted this before. I feel this is the right time in my life to seek this aspiration. I've desired to do so for quite some time. If given the opportunity, I feel that I could serve this community and be part of this community as I've been for the last 16 years. And I thank you all for having me here today. Thank you.